Hey guys, and gals, and everyone. Have you ever walked out of a cuddle session and thought, this could have been better? I mean, it was great. I really enjoyed it, but man, I wish I could have added something to this that make it just a little bit better. Or maybe you're going to a professional cuddler and you'd like to add some elements that maybe you hadn't considered and you just kind of want someone to tell you. Sometimes professional cuddlers aren't about to tell you, they're not going to tell you like what things you can do. They kind of want you to come up with your own ideas. So here I am to tell you what you can add to your cuddle session to make it a better experience. I'm Janettrevino. I'm out of San Antonio, Texas, and I provide professional cuddling sessions. Now it's been 7 years. I'm coming up about 7 years of doing this work. So hopefully this is helpful for you all. Okay, so in no particular order, I don't want anyone to freak out. Just as I was typing this up, I'm just going to share to you how it came out of me. First thing, for some of you who have a hypersexuality, that have, just that kind of sexual spark is on and interest is there kind of constantly, I encourage you to masturbate. It's a little bit unpopular to talk about. A lot of clients are really uncomfortable with this subject because they're just really afraid of being judged and rejected because of their sexuality, their sexual organs. And I want you to know, just go ahead and knock that out before you go to a session. Hopefully it's easy for you to do. Just take that, have the time planned for that. If that's something you're concerned about, take care of it so that doesn't show up in your session. Another possibility, which this actually happened with a client, I saw a first-time client. He asked for 3 hours. Very rare as a first-timer to just like jump in and do like a big old session like that. And like he talked the whole time. And I had a feeling after the end of that he was not going to ask me to come back. Because when you're talking a lot, you're also probably not in your body and you're all in your head. So just notice, like, are you that kind of person that gets really nervous and you just feel like you need to talk or you want to be talked to, and how much of that is taking away from your relaxation, your experience in being in your body? So that's number 2. The next possibility is that when you're with someone and you're touching, to touch with intention, right? Like sometimes we're just like not even thinking about it, or we're thinking, oh, this will feel good to them. Like sometimes people will touch me thinking it's great for me, but they're just not even enjoying it themselves. So as you touch, if you touch someone else, like if you're actually experiencing their bodies, do it like with intention, slowly. Consider your touch. Consider what feels good to you. And I also have noticed that sometimes clients don't even touch me. Like I'm touching them. I'm kind of like soothing and being gentle, and they like are just really stiff. If you notice that you're stiff, maybe even if it's just a little touch, just notice if you can wake up your hands and notice the other person's body. Maybe they're warm or they're cool to the touch, or in these months, maybe a little sweaty, and that's okay too. Just notice if you can see if your hands can actually experience another human being. Kind of along the same line, allow yourself to receive. Are you noticing that you're putting up a wall and not letting someone in? So when you're, in a cuddling pose or position, you might be really close, but sometimes again, you have this energetic wall, you've blocked it off, you aren't letting that person in. And notice if you can just let the wall down, even saying it to yourself, I'm gonna let the wall down, and let that love, that affection, the nurture come into me. It can be really important to do that. If you're blocking it, you're not going to get much out of the session. If you notice that your mind is really on your genitals, you're thinking about it, you're worried about it, see if you can choose another body part that you could bring your attention to. So this actually came up with a client recently who we had a contact improv session, which is so much fun. It's like a lot of wrestling and kind of rolling around and exploring touch. And he had an erection for most of the session. And so my invitation for him was, instead of focusing on that, what other part of who you are do you want to put your attention on? And so we can explore that together. Maybe it's our hearts. What would it be like to move in the session or experience touch with someone from your heart space? Like, what does my heart want? You can ask yourself, what kind of touch would my heart want? Or what kind of touch would, I don't know what part you might want to explore. I mean, there's so many things. I'm thinking, my hands. What kind of touch would my hands really long to experience? And bringing, again, those types of spaces. I mean, I would say my mind, but I think a lot of this is getting out of the heads and getting into the body. But I think the heart is a really good place to start, asking what touch would my heart really want, and move into that kind of touch from that place. Another possibility would be to do breathing, intentional, like meditative type of breathing. And that can look like breathing together, inhaling. Oops. I kind of got kicked out there for a second. Inhaling, exhaling together, or it could, maybe that breath was so powerful, like, or it could be alternate breathing, which is also really, really cool, especially in certain positions, when you have two bodies together and you're like breathing in and out, like there's this like symbiotic, like I'm breathing in, you're breathing out, and we're kind of pushing each other. That's really neat, especially like belly to belly. That can be awesome. With that, as an added piece to that, hygiene. Brush your teeth. No one likes bad breath in their face, right? So you just need to, like, I just work around that. Sometimes I'll, bury my face into another space, and sometimes I have gum. It just all depends. But being able to do these kind of breath work with like not so terrible breath, consider flossing, just having like good dental hygiene. If it's more of a gut thing, see your doctor. I mean, there's things you can do, I guess, but just let your professional cuddler know that you might have some breath issues, like bad breath. That's okay. Let them know ahead of time so that they can prepare and do different positions that would work with that. And if you want to do the breathing thing, that's cool. You can work around it, and it's okay too. There's something also that when you have more than one person in the same space together, there's just more energy, there's more life, there's more possibilities. So you can also begin the session with the question, maybe a life question, like, what do I need to be doing in my life right now? Or what is it that would bring meaning to my life? It's something very, very basic question. And in the session, as you're with this person, see if that answer doesn't come forward. It's a possibility. Again, we're all about enhancing the session, some things you can do. That one might be really interesting to explore with another person. And maybe not talk about it, but just wait for that answer to appear. I think napping, I'm just going to throw this in here. Napping is quite interesting as well. Maybe you could just spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes deciding just to see if you can sleep, set an alarm. Think of this idea of like rest is resistance. So often we have to feel like we have to be doing cuddling. Like, I'm going to do cuddling. When it's not about that at all. It's about being with another person. So sometimes it might be good just to be like, can we just have 5-10 minutes where we're just like still? No moving, no rubbing, no busy, but just be here with that person. I actually love that. And sometimes I even feel like the need to I need to make my money. I gotta do the things that not necessary. Okay. Hair. Decide what you're doing with this hair. I have a lot of hair recently. Sometimes, hair can get into the face and be kind of uncomfortable. So decide if the hair needs to be put up. I often think I need to have my hair down. It's more feminine. It looks nice, whatever. But if it's always getting in the way, get it up, put it up, do something with it. Ask the client too, if you're a professional. Ask the client how they want, if they want the hair down or up, what's comfortable for them. If you're a client, put your hair how you'd like. Find out what works for the both of you in that regard. with more body stuff, clothing, maybe you've been wearing something that you just thought you were supposed to wear. Like, oh, I'm supposed to wear, pants or a long sleeve shirt. Don't ask me why. And that would be kind of weird in my climate. I live in South Texas, so pants and a long shirt for a cuddle session, I die. But let's say you just never occurred to you, I can wear shorts, or I can wear a tank top, even a tank top. I find that like when people wear t-shirts, like there's so much limiting of like, I'd love to touch skin. So more skin, like wearing a tank top would be really nice to be able to touch maybe a shoulder or arms in a different way. But talk to your professional about, like, again, if you can change some of the clothing stuff. I mean, in some spaces, maybe even biker shorts would be okay. I don't know. Ask your person. But with me, there's a lot of flexibility. As long as you're wearing bottoms and a top, that does work. And I know that, skin for me is really great. Not everybody wants their skin touched. That's also a thing. So if you do want more cover up, I know it's kind of popular to buy that animal onesie, and maybe that's you. You want to have a onesie cuddle session. Fantastic. Do not come to me with a onesie request in July or August, because I will die. So we'd be happy to do that for you in January and February, because that's much cooler for me. So possibilities. Talking about that, temperature. So is it too hot? Is it too cold? Do you have a preferred temperature? Like, this is actually really kind of sometimes complicated, because I like a warmer space, but like I figured out with certain clients, based on, body size and how their temperature runs, they need a cooler room. So I try to get it down to like 72 or something like that. Try. Because it's warm these days, hard to get down there, for me at least, for my place. But I have fans then, so like, do you like airflow? Maybe you don't like it so cold, but you need airflow in the space. Ask for a fan. It's okay to be like, can we have a fan? Do you have a fan for the space as well? If it's not so cold, can we have that at least? I have 2 fans usually running, or have the possibility, so it's good to have one on the floor and then one up top to make sure that it cools the space well. Lighting. Sometimes, again, clients show up in a space and they don't think they have much say in how the space looks. You can request it, right? Like, all of this is about making requests. So ask, could we have natural lighting instead of artificial lighting? Could we put more lights on? Could we turn the lights down? Down creates a different type of feel for the session. But again, if you build that trust with your professional, that's something that you all can negotiate if you like it to be a little bit more dreamy, sleepy. For me, the darker it gets, though, and if I'm a little tired, I might fall asleep. So just gotta wake me and be like, wake up, wake up. That's a little tricky. But again, it's possible to look at the lighting as a part of your experience. Aromatherapy, right? So any kind of aromas, scents. Maybe you have a particular scent that you really like that helps you really go deeper into your body. Request it. Some people are scent sensitive, so that might not be a possibility. I am not. One time, I had a client request me wear his mother's cologne, or perfume. I guess women don't wear cologne, but her perfume. And that was to kind of get him back into a space of being nurtured and having that maternal experience. That was amazing. I was open to that. I was okay. So I really wanted to support that. Is there an essential oil, maybe like a woodsy one that feels really good that you can have in the space? Incense, something that might really help you. That again, of course, then goes to music. Sometimes I'll ask clients, like, what kind of music do you like? And is there anything that you want to listen to? I have Pandora, people have Spotify, and I know I definitely put on a channel. I have sometimes put on, I don't know why, it feels really kind of fun to put on 80s rock ballads. It's like the love songs from the 80s with like hair metal bands. It's so funny to me. But like that really creates a certain type of environment, whereas sometimes I want to put on more like 30s and 40s from like my grandparents' era, or just like music with like no words. It just all depends on kind of what mood I'm in. But again, if you have a special request that might really support you in your session, please like bring that up. And if you have a song you want to sing, like cuddling and singing with a person is really beautiful. And the idea of like whispering to one another, talking slowly, quietly, all the ways that we communicate with our talking, it can also be really cool in that type of scenario. Someone, I'm doing this live, so someone mentioned blankets. That's my next thing. So yes, you have pillows and blankets and fluff, extra fluff and stuffies and all the things that you can bring. This guy. Bring this guy into your session. So yeah, what would that look like to bring your favorite pillow, right? Is there a pillow that you just brings you back into your own body and really feels comforting? Bring your pillow. Ask if that's okay. You know, if you have a blanket that just has a certain type of texture that really supports you, do that. So I think it's all right to, you know, bring your big old satchel of stuff of fluff. That'd be kind of funny, actually. And, you know, scatter it throughout the whole space and have that for yourself. It's okay to want that. And let's see, thinking about things on the space or in the space. So you have these two bodies, right? Two bodies that are there. And maybe it's time to try a different pose or position. Something that you haven't tried before. If you've been seeing a cuddler for a while, maybe you haven't thought about putting your head in their lap. And sometimes I forget about that one. Or maybe hugging each other's feet and legs. I know it's kind of weird to be like backwards, but there's a lot of playfulness that's possible. I encourage you to be playful and find ways to just see each other from a different angle or different space. You know, putting your head on someone's belly. Maybe you've never had someone's head on your belly. That might be really cool to try too. So if you're the client here, it's recommended that you ask for what you want and request something different. If you don't know, like, well, I don't know what to ask, you can definitely ask them if they have resources for you. I know I have a YouTube playlist that goes through a bunch of different positions and poses that you can explore. It's unlimited what's possible. Maybe come up with something on your own. Maybe, I don't know. Google it and see what you come up with and something new you can try. Okay, let's keep going here. I had a client once who used to request that I read to him, and it was a fiction book in Spanish. And part of the session, he's like, would you just read out of this book? Think about reading poetry or reading, you know, there's a special passage that you really like out of the Bible or some kind of religious literature, something that really boosts you. And you often read it to yourself. Well, maybe having somebody else read it to you might be really helpful in that space to help ground you and just bring in something new that you maybe hadn't seen before. I also like using sensory toys, so imagining like feathers and paintbrushes, and I have two of these actually by my space, and it doesn't feel the same doing it to yourself, but like having different things that you can play with that can, just put you into like a totally different state. Just any kind of like light sensory kind of thing could really be helpful. Gonna go a little more out there. Maybe you invite a third person to do a you sandwich. So having two people squishing you could also be a way to enhance your experience. Again, how to make that work, I don't know. Ask your person if you can bring somebody, if you know someone. That might be really beautiful to be a sandwich and be really squished and have that the closeness that you might need to have all of you cuddled. I only have a couple more. Some people really make these big old blanket forts. Maybe you make a cuddle fort and put a set of blankets. Again, that might be like you might need to do that collaboratively. So some of your session may need to actually be helping create the cuddle fort, but that could also be a way of creating a little more of a cocoon experience with your person. And yeah. And I guess the last one, I'm throwing this in there because let's just say you're like, well, this isn't anything of what I want. And you're realizing I really want a more sensual or sexual experience. I know. I have a lot of compassion for those people that show up for a cuddle session and they're like, but I wanted something more. right? Or that's all they know is how to do something else. Well, I really want to invite you to go find that somewhere else. It's okay. It's okay to want those things and to go, and there are providers or people out there that do that. There's also just friends. Ask a friend for something a little bit more, but I invite you to please not bring those needs and requests to a cuddle session. Especially if you're asking for a cuddle session, ask for a cuddle session and make it better if it's not working for you. But if you definitely know, after looking at all of these things that I said, and you're just like, no, what I'm really going to be honest, I really just want more, then go find that. It's okay. Now, I'm sure I've missed a whole bunch of things. So if you have more ideas, please post and comment here. And this video will be, of course, on YouTube. Go and let other people know what you've done that works for you. And thanks again for watching. Come find me in San Antonio. I'm here. See you. Bye.